It all started as a harmless sleepover with my closest friends. We were bored of the usual movies and games. So when Emily suggested we try her grandmother's old Ouija board, we all agreed, albeit with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The board was dusty and worn with ornate carvings and an eerie, almost tangible aura about it. We gathered in Emily's dimly lit attic, where the atmosphere was thick with anticipation. The flickering candlelight cast long shadows on the walls, adding to the tension. We sat in a circle around the Ouija board, placing our fingers lightly on the planchette. "Is there anyone here with us?" Emily asked, her voice trembling slightly. At first, nothing happened. We exchanged nervous glances, half relieved and half disappointed. But then the planchette began to move. It was slow at first, a slight tremor that we all felt. Then it picked up speed, moving deliberately towards us. We laughed nervously, convinced someone was playing a trick. "Who's doing that?" I asked. But everyone denied it, their faces pale and serious. "Who are you?" Emily asked, her voice steadier now. The planchette spelled out, "LICE." A shiver ran down my spine. The air around us seemed to grow colder. We asked Alice a series of questions: how she'd die, why she was here, but her answers were cryptic and unsettling. She mentioned something about a tragedy, a fire, and a family loss. We decided to end the session when the atmosphere became too tense. That night I had trouble sleeping. My mind was filled with thoughts of Alice and the strange feeling that we had opened a door that should have remained closed. I drifted off eventually, but my sleep was restless, filled with vivid nightmares of fire and shadows. The next day things started to get strange. Objects in Emily's house would move on their own, a book falling off the shelf, a chair sliding across the floor. We tried to rationalize it, blaming drafts and our imaginations, but as the days passed, the incidents grew more frequent and more disturbing. One evening, I was alone in my room, studying for an exam. The house was quiet, and the only sound was the soft rustling of the trees outside. Suddenly, I heard a faint whisper. At first, I thought it was the wind, but then I heard it again, clearer this time. It was my name. I froze, my heart pounding. The whisper came again, closer now, as if someone was right behind me. I spun around, but there was no one there. The room was empty. I tried to shake off the feeling of dread and went back to my books, but I couldn't concentrate. The whispers continued over the next few days, always just on the edge of hearing. I started seeing shadows moving in my peripheral vision, but whenever I turned to look, nothing was there. I confided in Emily and the others, and, to my horror, they had experienced similar things. Desperate for answers, we decided to use the Ouija board again, hoping to contact Alice and find out what was happening. We gathered in Emily's attic once more, the air thick with tension. We placed our fingers on the planchette and asked for Alice. This time the planchette moved immediately. "YES," it spelled out. "Alice, are you causing these things to happen?" I asked. The planchette moved to no. "Who is it then?" Emily asked. The planchette spelled out a name we didn't recognize, J-A-C-K. "Jack, who are you?" I asked, my voice shaking. The planchette moved quickly now, spelling out D-T-H. A cold chill swept through the room, and the candles flickered violently. We decided to end the session, but the planchette wouldn't move to goodbye. It felt like an unseen force was holding it in place. Suddenly, the attic door slammed shut, and the temperature dropped sharply. We could see our breath in the cold air. Terrified, we tried to move the planchette to goodbye forcefully, but it felt stuck. The shadows in the room seemed to grow darker and more oppressive. I felt a cold hand on my shoulder and screamed, jerking away. The others felt it too, and panic set in. Finally, with all our strength, we managed to move the planchette to goodbye. The atmosphere in the room lightened slightly, but the sense of dread remained. We knew we had to do something to close whatever door we had opened. We researched ways to cleanse the house and decided to perform a cleansing ritual. We used sage and salt, following instructions we found online. As we performed the ritual, we felt a palpable resistance, as if something was fighting against us. Eventually, the house felt lighter, and the incidents became less frequent. We never used the Ouija board again and decided to return it to Emily's grandmother, along with a detailed account of our experiences. To this day, I can't forget the feeling of that cold hand on my shoulder or the whispers in the dark. We had unleashed something we didn't understand, and it had taken all our strength to put it back. Have you ever experienced something unexplainable with a Ouija board? Share your story in the comments below.